So this is week 4, and this is going to be the first week that we have our A and B rotations. So Group A will be at school Monday, Tuesday, and Group B will be at home Thursday or at school Thursday, Friday. So the kids that are in school on Monday are going to be doing the same thing that you guys are doing at home. The layout, remember, all of our stuff is on the classwork tab of Google Classroom. It'll be titled Week 4 for this week. You are still going to have a bell ringer. So make sure, remember that you only have to answer the question of that day. So you will only need to answer Monday for Monday, Tuesday for Tuesday. Remember, right now we're not going to do any bell ringers on Wednesday. And then at school, you guys will do Thursday and Friday. Again, make sure you always hit that purple submit button because it will not record your answer if you do not before you exit out. In class, I did say that all of the slides will be presented just like we do in class. And if you're watching this video, you know that we were going to attach the video with the slides just so you can follow along. So you can open up the slides if you want to and split screen, or you can just follow along in the video and follow the directions in there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the slides for today. Again, the students at school are seeing the same thing you are here at home. So take some time, if you have not already, to complete your bell ringer. And if you want to pause the video right now so you can go complete it before you come back, that's perfectly fine. So the bell ringer for today and tomorrow, we actually are going back over the vocabulary. A lot of people messed that up on our Topic A quiz, so we wanted to make sure that we hit that again. So if it's asking on Monday, it says, what is the difference between a rate and a unit rate? So you can see that for both of them, you have that word rate. And basically the word rate just means that you're going to have the units, like what am I measuring? So dollars per ounce or boys versus girls. So if you're looking at the difference between a rate and a unit rate, it's that word right here, unit. And hopefully you remember from the first couple of classes that if you have a unit rate, you might have that it's $5 for 1 ounce. So that bottom denominator of 1, you get that by dividing. So you should have chosen this one. A unit rate is only per 1. So you have to divide to get that answer unless it already has 1 on the bottom. Again, that word unit means 1, and it's also the same thing as our constant of proportionality that we've been talking about. So we are actually going to be doing a lesson today. We're going to go through the lesson together as notes, and then we're going to be doing a Padlet at the very end of class, so I will show you where that is. So, example 1. It says wildlife conservationists are concerned that the deer population might not be constant across the national forest. The scientists found that there were 144 deer in a 16 square mile area of the forest. In another part of the forest, conservationists counted 117 deer in a 13 square mile area, yet a third conservationist counted 216 deer in a 24 square mile plot of the forest. Do conservationists need to be worried? So that's really a lot of numbers. It kind of gave us 3 areas to deal with. But let's just first start off with question A. It says, why does it matter if the deer population is not constant in a certain area of the national forest? So if you think about how it connects to real life, one of the first things that I would think about is the food chain. So for some reason, in a specific square mile radius, let's just say there were very few deer at all. That must mean that there's something in there happening to the deer, and maybe that would be a bigger animal eating the deer in that specific area. Or maybe there's an overpopulation, and it's because there's too much of the smaller wildlife in that area. Another reason that you might do it, so let's say that the deer population was going down. In a national forest, you're really not supposed to be hunting, but if there was illegal hunting, that might show up of why there's a specific area that is seeing a decrease in the amount of deer. There could also be more in here. There could be water pollution. There could be soil pollution. There's a lot of different things, but again, those are just 2 of the first ones that I think about. Okay, so it says part B, what is the deer population density of deer per square mile? So now we're actually going to use all the numbers that we see up here. And remember, when it says deer per square mile, that's talking about deer per 1 square mile. So we do know that it's asking for the unit rate, or basically the constant of proportionality. Remember, they're really the same thing. So because deer comes first per square mile, we know that deer is going to go on the top and square miles is going to go on the bottom. And there's 3 that we have up here, so I'm going to underline them. The first one, the second one, and the third one. And so we know we have to divide. So remember, the amount of deer go on the top, so 144 and 16. This second one was 117 and 13. And then the last one is 216 over 24. And so we know to find the unit rate that we want to divide. So again, if you want to pause the video really quick to do that on your calculator at home, that's fine. Okay, if you don't, remember, we are looking to make sure that all of these are the same. And you should have gotten 9 for every single one of these. So it says, what is the deer population density of deer per 1 square mile? It would be 9 deer for every square mile. And if you want to put 1, you can. Hopefully you know that what that's talking about because it's a unit rate. All right, moving on to part C. It says, if the entire national park is 207 square miles, how many deer can be expected to be in the park? Okay, so let's think about it. We know that there are 9 deer in 1 square mile. So think about if you went to the store and you had a candy bar. 1 candy bar cost $1. So if you had 2 candy bars, it should be $2. If you have 3 candy bars, it should be $3. And it's just going to keep going up and up at that point. So if we have 207 square miles, okay, if we have 207 square miles, then that means we should have way, way more deer. So that means you're going to be multiplying by 207. So really you're doing 9, which was the number of deer in 1 square mile, times the 207. And again, grabbing your calculator, if we do that, 9 times 207 is 1,863 deer. And if you forget what that unit is, it says how many deer. So because it gave us our square miles, we know that we're looking for the number of deers. All right, now let's see what happens if we go the other way around. So in part D, okay, let me go ahead and write our unit rate. So we know that there are 9 deer in 1 square mile. This one says, if there are 486 deer counted, how many square miles? So this time it's given us the number of deer, and it wants us to figure out how many square miles. So this time, instead of multiplying by our unit rate, we're going to want to divide. So 486 divided by 9. And again, you're more than welcome to use a calculator. 486 divided by 9 is 54. And if you forget what units you're looking for, whether it's 54 deer or 54 square miles, it says how many square miles. So we know that's our quantity we're measuring is 54 square miles, which again should make sense. If there's 9 deer in 1 square mile, if you have 486 deer, you are going to need more square miles than just 1. And we do have a really big hint for you later on to figure this out. Okay, and it deals with our y value being on top and our x value being on the bottom. Okay, example 2. It says Suzette and Margot want to prepare crepes for all of the students in their French class. A recipe makes 5 crepes with a certain amount of flour, milk, and 10 eggs. The girls already know that they have plenty of flour and milk to make 50 crepes, but they need to determine the number of eggs they will need for the recipe because they are not sure they have enough. So part A, it says considering the amount of eggs needed to make 5 crepes, how many eggs would be needed to make 1? So if we go up here to the top, we have to first remember it says considering the amount of eggs needed to make 5 crepes. So it says a recipe makes 5 crepes with a certain amount of flour, milk, and 10 eggs. So we know that there are 10 eggs for every 5 crepes. But it wants to know how many eggs would be needed to make 1. So if we want our denominator to be 1, remember you can just divide. We're just finding the unit rate again, or that constant of proportionality. And 10 divided by 5 is pretty easy. It's telling us that we need 2 eggs for every 1 crepe. So pretty simple. Again, this is finding the unit rate. You are just reading the problem. Okay, so B. So let's go ahead and write down that unit rate again. We know that it is 2 eggs for every 1 crepe. And again, remember that's a y value over an x value. So it says how many eggs are needed to make 50 crepes. Okay, so how many eggs are needed to make 50 crepes? So we know if 2 eggs are needed for 1 crepe, you're going to need a lot more eggs to make 50. So think about whether you're going to need to multiply or divide by this unit rate 2. Again, you can pause to think about it if you need to. So 50 crepes, 2 eggs per 1 crepe. How many eggs will you need for 50 crepes? So if you said multiply, you are correct. We are going to multiply by our constant or that unit rate number. And 2 times 50 again is really easy. That should be 100. And again, if you're looking for what to label that, it says how many eggs. So 100 eggs. 100 eggs. Now, a minute ago, I told you that I would give you a hint, okay? That I would give you a hint if you were trying to figure out what to do, whether multiply or divide by that constant number. So I have a really good saying for you, and you can write this down if you want to somewhere, okay? If I need my y, so we're talking about the y value, which here is eggs. If I need my y, I multiply. And so it kind of rhymes. If I need my y, I multiply. And because I was trying to figure out the number of eggs, which is the y value, then I would multiply by the 2 instead of divide by the 2. So let's see what happens again if we have a different type of question using that same unit rate. Okay, so let me go back one. Oh, I don't have it. All right, so example 3. It says each school year, the 7th graders who study life science participate in a special field trip to the city zoo. In 2010, the school paid $1,260 for 84 students. Okay, so that's our first one. Think of it like a table. In 2011, the school paid $1,050 for 70 students. And in 2012, the school paid $1,395 for 93 students to enter the zoo. So the first question says, is the price that the school pays each year proportional to the number of students entering the zoo? So I told you just a second ago, think about this as a table. And remember, our Y value is always money or your cost. And then our X value this time would be our students. So we do have 3 values we're going to have to divide. Remember, you want to do all 3 so we can make sure that they're proportional. So we have 1,260 divided by 84 students. We have 1,050 divided by 70. And we have 1,395 divided by 93. So again, grabbing your calculator, doing the first value divided by 84 is 15. Okay, 1,050 divided by 70 is also 15. So let's see if the last one is 1,395 divided by 93 is also 15. So it says, is it proportional? Yes. Okay, the constant or the constant of proportionality is 15. So we know it's $15 for each student, and it was that in 2010, in 2011, and also in 2012. So their rates have not changed for a ticket price. All right, so $15 per student. So part B, it said identify the constant of proportionality and explain what it means in the context of the situation. So we kind of just gave you that. It was 15, which was the number we got. And we know the top value, again, was the cost. And the bottom was the students. So if our answer was 15, then we know it's $15 for every one student. Because a constant of proportionality needs a denominator of 1. And remember, that's really the same thing as that unit rate, and we get that by dividing. All right, part C. It says, what would the school pay if 120 students entered the zoo? So again, our unit rate or constant of proportionality is $15 for one student. So if we have 120 students, let's not just think about it. Obviously, we know it's going to be way more money, but let's use our saying that we just wrote. Remember our Y values on the top and our X values on the bottom. So it says, what would the school pay if 120 students entered the zoo? So remember, that's our Y value because we're looking for the cost. So if I need my Y value, okay, the top, the cost for this, if I need my Y value, I multiply. They kind of rhyme. If I need my Y, I multiply. So 120 times the constant, which is 15, which is a lot of money. Let's figure out how much. 120 times 15 is a whopping $1,800. So pretty expensive, but that's for 120 people. Okay, and D, how many students would enter the zoo if the school paid $1,425? So again, we know that it's $15 for every one student. Okay, our Y value is our cost, and our X value is the number of students. So this time it's kind of backwards, and we had a problem like this earlier with the deer. If I'm looking for my X value, think about whether I'm going to multiply still or whether I'll have to divide by the constant. So if I need my Y value, I multiply. But if I need my X value, I divide. And I like to remember that because X is on the bottom and that's over that little fraction bar, which can mean division. So if I need my X value, I divide. If I need my Y, I multiply. Y multiply, X divide. So if the number is 1,425, I'm going to divide by the constant 15. And again, using your calculator, I get 95. And remember, it's asking how many students. So you always need to label, especially if you're dealing with word problems, 95 students. All right, last example for the day. It says you download an average of 60 songs per month. So you have two options. You can pay a flat fee of $58 per month for unlimited songs from Company A, or you can choose to pay per song from Company B. So it says, which is the better choice of the two options? So you can pay a flat fee of $58 per month, or you can choose to pay per song from Company B, shown in the graph. So think about it. Which is the better choice out of these two options? Should you just pay a flat fee, or could it be per song? So just thinking out loud here, I would say that it really depends on how many songs that you buy. Okay? If you're paying a flat fee of $58, but let's just say you only buy one song, it might not be worth it that much. But if you pay for one song from Company B, instead of paying $58, you might just be paying a very, very small amount. So it says, which is the better choice of the two options? It depends how many songs you buy. If you really like music and you buy a bunch, it probably would be better to go with the flat rate of $58 per month. But if you only buy a few, it might be wiser to choose Company B. And this happens a lot when you have to choose between companies, whether it's internet, whether it's phone prices. All of this stuff will matter to you when you start paying for those things. So it says, Part A, what is the cost per one song based on the graph? So remember, we know that this is a proportional graph because it starts at the origin and it's a straight line. So a lot of people start to wonder how they can find that constant number, the per one song from a graph. But remember, all you got to do is pick a point. So if you look at this point, I'm just going to use this one. You could use any of them. If I divide my Y value by my X value, remember, you still have to do that. Remember, the Y-axis is over here on the side. So I know that that value, if I follow it across, is 36. And then my X value, which is at the bottom, remember X on the bottom when you divide, is 40. So if I do 36 divided by 40, that's 0.9. And remember, we're talking terms of money, so 0.9 is not 9 cents, but 90 cents. And that's for every one song. So you can still find the constant from a graph, especially if it's shown by going through the origin and as a straight line. Okay, part B, it says express that as an equation. So last week, we talked about that y equals kx equation. So we know we're just going to plug in the 0.90 for that k value. So not doing anything with the equation, but you still need to remember how to write it. And then part C, it says use what you know to determine which is the better choice. Okay, so let's think about it. It says an average of 60 songs per month. 60 songs per month. So my other one, Company A, okay, Company A is $58, no matter how many songs you buy. So if you're getting 60 songs, Company A will cost you $58. So we need to figure out, if I chose Company B, how much would that cost me for 60 songs? So remember, if it's 90 cents for every one song, okay, if it's 90 cents for every one song, think about if you're going to multiply by the constant of 90 cents or divide. And let's use our saying, if I need my Y, I multiply, which is what we're doing here, because 60 is our X value. We're looking for our Y. So 60 times 90 cents for each song would be $54. So if I had 60 songs, Company A would be $4 cheaper. Oh, I'm sorry, Company B would be $4 cheaper. Okay, Company A is 58 and Company B is 54. So Company B. All right, we have a short Padlet exit slip to end class today. So it says, please complete the Padlet for Thursday's lesson by clicking on the link in the details section on the Google Slides. So I'm going to go back to the Google Classroom just to show you what that means. So right here on your Monday slides, this was the slides. Your video should have been here, and this is the link that I'm talking about. So when you click on this, okay, this is what it would be. Now, this is not the question that you will have today. This was an old one, okay, but the link will be there for you, and it will be a question about what we did in class today, and it will give you the directions. Remember, the directions will be up here at the top. Remember, in order to add something, you press the little plus button, and you always need to make sure you label it with your first and last name and then answer your question. And then you are finished for the day. And tomorrow will be Tuesday.